morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and thanks for stopping by. Our dedicated team will guide you through with the latest updates and theories at Starbase, Texas. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon for future streams.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Zach Golden, and welcome to the RGV Weekly live stream. Thanks for joining us. It's good to be back on the show. We got a lot to talk about today, and we're going to have some special guests with us. One that we haven't had on in quite a long time, Grandpa Joe. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, Zach. Thanks for having me back. Mauricio, guys, it is so good to be back with you. And hey, my first time getting to be on the air with my main guy, Astro Joe. So, man, so excited to see everything that's changed.
Thanks, Grandpa Joe. Great to be on the show with you as well. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, friends of Starbase. Here we are with episode 98. All pictures taken on Wednesday the 8th. Enjoy, and we'll send it back to Zach to jump right in.
Yeah, we also have Jeff with us doing all the production work in the background today. Indy's got some issues with her computer thanks to an aggressive cat that kind of destroyed her desktop. But Jeff, thanks for joining us. And I'm going to make Jeff not be silent this time because he did the voiceover for the most recent RGV episode. So I feel like, he shouldn't be shy on the mic anymore. With this, Jeff? Maybe not. All right. Well, I thought I could draw him out, but I guess that didn't work. Jeff also does the production work for my episodes, so busy guy for sure, and full of lots of talents. Also he does the intro for the show with all of the transitions, showing the evolution of Starbase. Really awesome that he's been doing those for the last 2 years, pretty much. So thanks, Jeff, for always handling that. And he tells me he's not set up to speak, so that is fine. We're all good. But yeah, let's get into the show. We got a lot to cover this week. There have been some, weird updates where we've been kind of just sitting around waiting for SpaceX to get approval for this next launch. And, I think a lot of us have been on a roller coaster of emotions, just thinking, not being sure when it's actually going to happen, and, at times thinking it's closer than it actually is. So we'll talk about all of these, events, I guess, first, the actual weekly updates. So as most of you know, well, this image kind of shows both the past and the future, I would say. So, Ship 25 was stacked on top of Booster 9 earlier in the week, and that was following the installation of the FTS on both the booster and ship. And I'm actually going to share some images from Twitter, which were posted by Starship Gazer, because he got some really cool close-ups when they actually went out to bring the FTS boxes to the site. So let's show that really quick.
That was such a lucky shot. I love it.
Yeah, I love this shot, and I think in the comments below this, some people were able to Photoshop this to. I'm pretty sure it'll be the top one up here. Let's see. They Photoshopped this to. Oh yeah. Oh no, that's not the Photoshop one. Yeah, there's a Photoshop version. Here we go. Yeah, that was a pretty clutch timing by Starship Gazer. He actually regularly happens to catch things at the perfect moment. So shout out to Starship Gazer. But yeah, so these are the FTS boxes for Booster 7. Or wow, I just can't let go of Booster 7, Booster 9, and Ship 25. And this is the team that installs them. So they're actually stored over in this little box that I'm going to show you here. So
Remind me, FTA is flight termination system. It's the self-destruct box for the ship and booster.
Yeah, exactly. So the FTS was one of the items that they had to, I guess, requalify before this launch. So as we all know, the FTS, I think they said it took like, I want to say 45 seconds or something like that to destroy the vehicle, which is way too long. So that was one of the things that they had to actually recertify. And yeah, so the FTS is stored over in this location right here, and that's kind of where the area where Starship Gazer was taking that picture from. So yeah, they actually installed both of those boxes on the booster and ship. I think there's 2 charges for each one, and then they restacked ship 25. I think was it Tuesday. I want to say either Tuesday or Wednesday. And so we've kind of been getting excited for this launch. An interesting thing that actually happened yesterday. So there's currently a storm going on at Starbase. Started yesterday, and I think it extends all the way through Monday. And got some pretty high winds and a lot of rain. And actually, I think they are in the audience today, Niall Anderson, and I apologize if I'm not saying your name correctly, but happened to catch this moment on NSF's live stream. So we're going to show this here really quick. And we're looking down here in this area, and I guess there's I covered it up with my finger there. So down here in this area, you can see a tile pop off of the ship. So I guess the wind was enough to knock that tile off. And this happens to be the area of the ship where the tiles are actually like glued on. So this isn't one of the ones with the pins. So that's a positive. That it I guess in a way positive that it's not one of the ones with the pins, because in my opinion, I think we should expect to never see those ones fall off. But the glued areas, I guess, shouldn't be as much of a surprise. And I may bring up some ground images from a few weeks ago if I can find them quick enough in the background. But we do know that all of the tiles that were like around the weld points have been inspected not on ship 25, but on ship 28 or
Yeah,
maybe it's
they're
29.
going after that one with a fine-tooth comb. But
And
luckily,
well, with those ones, and I'm seeing it if I can find it, they actually used a suction cup testing, or like a suction cup test where they take a suction cup, stick it onto the tiles, and pull on them to make sure that they weren't coming off. And so those were all on the areas where those tiles are glued on. And on ship 28, there was a pretty large amount of those tiles that they ended up pulling off. So this is not something that they also did on ship 25, and I don't know what the reason for that is. I think it could possibly be just a result of just wanting to get it ready for launch and not having to go through that process, because it was kind of a lot that they ended up having to replace on 29. So I've been kind of thinking there was a possibility that we may end up seeing tiles fall off on 25 for the reason that they didn't go through that whole process. And I did finally find some images right here. This is give me 1 second.
yeah, if I could add while you're pulling that up,
Yeah.
Ship 28 may be their one for IFT 3, and they did announce a possible NOTMAR for the Indian Ocean with a powered landing through the air FCC finding. So that may be why they care a lot more about 28 surviving versus 25 just getting to orbit and landing.
There we go. Sorry about that. Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. And so this down here is the area, and I can't remember if this is 28 or 29. I think this is actually
28.
20. Well, 28 was on the engine stand next to this, so I'm not sure if this is. Oh, okay, this is the engine stand. Yeah, so this is 28. So yeah, you can see all of the areas where they did that test, where they actually ended up pulling those tiles off. And yeah, they did not do this process on 25, so I guess it shouldn't be all that surprising that we would see a tile fall off in that area. But the point of talking about all of this is the fact that with that single missing tile, I would expect, and some people have argued, like, are they just going to yeet it and not worry about it? I don't think that is kind of their way of thinking. I think do expect, or at least, have a high level of hope that they're going to reach orbit and actually, or not orbit, but, actually reach stage separation, and second stage ignition, and, fulfill most of their mission parameters. And there is a chance that they actually could reach the point of reentry. And with that, even small percentage or whatever that percentage of likelihood that happens, I think they want it to be, pretty much perfect in every controllable way. So, I, when I first saw that, thought that, they're either going to have to destack, or, that's probably the most likely, because the wind lift trucks are not able to reach, as far as we know. They're able to reach up to the inner stage up here and keep in mind that this is taller now because it has the hot staging ring on top. Yeah. And we also know that they can reach down to the bottom of this, I think. I believe we've seen them reach the QD arm, but not much higher than that. So those tiles were a little bit higher up than that. So, in order to actually get up there and replace it, you either have to use a basket on this crane, which I believe they may have one on site, but that's not really the best way to do that, because, if you have any wind at all, having that basket swaying around in the wind risks, running into some of the more tiles and doing even more damage than you went up there to fix in the first place. So bringing it back on the ground is always going to be the best way to do something like that. And, as of last night, and I'm not saying it's for that reason, but we did see the hot stage ring transport stand move back to the launch site. So the hot stage transport stand, the
Starship transport.
The Starship transport stand never left, so it was always over here by the by suborbital pad A. So that's been on site, but the load spreader for lifting this ring section off also came back to the launch site, along with the pressurization trailer for the Starship. So, it seems like this picture is a depiction of what we're going to see within the next few days, if not sometime today, depending on weather, I'm guessing. But yet another destacking of Ship 25, which I think will be the 7th time they've taken it down. So
they're really greasing that groove right there. They're going to get that operation down pat.
I mean, it seems like it's pretty smooth now. Like, it's not, there's no real hesitation in too many locations or too many steps of that process. It seems pretty fluid for the most part now. So much faster than it was in the past, that's for sure. But yeah, it's been very interesting. I think we saw 5 full stacks with 7 and 24. So that'll be 2 more than we saw with that. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting that they're going to have to take that ring off. We don't know what that really means, but that'll, I don't know, probably be the 3rd or 4th time they've taken that off. So I guess the question is what's going on with the top of the booster. Seems like there may be, and I'm just guessing here, possibly something to do with the grid fin motors or something like that. Something that would require them to be able to get underneath this in order to perform some sort of work up there. So, we can't say that they're destacking it just for that tile on Ship 25, because we already know that they're going to be taking this ring off too. So there's a multitude of reasons why they're going to, or at least appear to be doing that destack. And I think Vix, our close friend, posted on Twitter that this crane right here, which we call Marvin, has started to raise itself up again, because it was actually hanging out over here in launch position where it's laid on the ground. And I guess as of, I don't know, within the last half hour or so, it started lifting back up. So, it's not SpaceX trying to fool us. It does actually look like that ring is going to be coming back off, and we'll see a destack again. So, yeah, we're just sitting here waiting for the actual license to be granted. The FAA did approve the safety review, but we're still waiting for the Fish and Wildlife Services to do their part. And on that note, SpaceX is waiting as well. And let's go ahead and show the video that they posted yesterday, because it's pretty awesome.
Love this video.
This one. Yeah, we might as well try and pick out some of the cool stuff that they've got going on in here. and I have the volume down because the music actually is pretty epic, and I haven't done a good job of getting that to show through on the stream. So, yeah, I thought there was some interesting stuff on this. For one, this whole scene where they reversed it. Jax, I was watching this with Jax last night, and he was kind of saying it's a symbolism for, we're back type thing or restarting over, which I guess is an interesting way of looking at it. I thought this was weird because I know they got updated shots from this angle with the new Mega Bay, and also the extensions of a lot of this stuff in here is not even here anymore. I would say like 60% of the structures are
It's
either gone or not present. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm surprised they didn't give us an updated one, but small gripe there. This is cool right here. We have them in the control room, and on the ceiling you can see that these are TPS tiles that are covering the ceiling up there. Yeah, I think there's one more view that they show it from where you can see it a little more clearly. So that right there, this is another outdated. Wait, where? What was the one I was thinking of? Maybe not. I was going to say this is an outdated shot, but it's kind of tough to tell. This is the booster before they put this hot stage ring up there. Probably trying to figure out what's going on with this grid fin flap that they keep having to work on. That one. Yeah, that's the one. That's actually really cool being able to see that from that view.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask what all is up there under the hood.
Well,
I mean, motors, grid fins, batteries.
Motors are back here. This may be the battery right here. I'm not 100% certain. I think it is, but then there's some sensors that go into the top of the tank. I think that's less likely that you're actually going to have to do anything with those. And then the
do the pressurization lines go in up there for the locks or the methane?
I'm not sure. So there's one that comes up right here, and I don't remember whether or not it comes up to the top or if it goes into the in through the side. It may go into the top. I think you're right on that. But as far as electronics goes, things that you would actually have to work on, I think these locks, the locking mechanism for the stage separation could be another thing. So there's really only like 3 or 4 things that you really have to worry about as far as taking that hot stage ring off. But so continuing on, we have a cool shot that we've already seen. This is doing some grinding work on that hot stage ring as they were manufacturing it.
Wow.
Yeah, that's cool. The actual hot stage ring being lifted in the Mega Bay. By the way, this is an outdated shot as well. Well, obviously this happened a few weeks ago, but if you guys have watched any of Lab Padre's streams or even NSF, there's now like huge LED lights. I think it's going along the bottom of this walkway. So this walkway up here, and then I think a few levels down as well too. And it is super bright. Like when you can even see in this image, like if you were up there, I think this guy has a flashlight in his hand. You can see a little light up there. I think they got tired of like carrying flashlights around with them. So flashlights probably won't even be allowed in the Mega Bay anymore with how bright these new lights are. So I was going to post it on Twitter last night, but I thought maybe it was old news because it was my first time seeing it. But yeah, those lights are super bright. Oh, that's a cool one. So we have the gimbaling of, I believe, Booster 9's engines.
Yeah, that one has the electric TVC. You can see the orange cabling going through there.
Yeah.
That orange means high voltage or high amperage cable.
Are you talking about these right here?
Yeah. Oh, wait. Yeah, aren't those the orange high voltage?
I think this is actually a vent because it's a flex hose. The TVC stuff should be up top, so I don't know if we can. This is one of the electric TVC, pistons right here, right there, actuators. So most of them are out of view. This is, I think, like the only one you can see this entire time. There may be another one right here, but yeah, this is a really awesome view. Only the paranoid survive. That's interesting. And then, oh man, let's go back to this. So this right here, they flung this by us pretty quick, but this is actually Ship 25 being lifted on top of its RVAC engines. So this is something that never happens anymore, but this is like, I think this is maybe the last time they did this. Before they had the install stand that's at the Sanchez site. I'll just go ahead and show that really quick so we are all on the same page here. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. So Sanchez site. This engine install stand, which is tall enough for an RVAC engine to go underneath it. So before they had this, they had to lift all of their starships on top of the RVAC engines. So this is Ship 25 in midair being guided down by ropes with these guys, and they gotta precisely drop it down on top of all 3 RVAC engines at the same time, and ideally have it line up with the mounting points once it lands. So yeah, this was a process that they definitely did not want to keep doing, and that's the reason why that engine install stand is out there. And yeah, I'm glad to see that this went away, because I think that was a really sketchy process. I always wanted to see like how it was done, and this kind of makes sense now. The weird part is that, oops, didn't mean to do that. The actual transport stand is missing. Like the transport stand is not down here. So initially, I actually made an episode about this recently, and I thought that they placed the RVACs inside of the transport stand. Turns out they just sit them down here, and I'm guessing lower the ship down until it connects with the engines, and then I don't know, install the bolts while it's still suspended.
That's crazy.
I know, it's so crazy. I thought they did it while it was on top of the transport stand. So you install the engines while suspended, and then I guess once they're installed, lift it back up, place it on top of the transport stand, and then you can get up under there and do all the rest of the stuff. So
can I throw in some fun numbers real quick?
Yeah.
So if you are a follower of the Ring Watchers, they have a chart of where every engine is. So from the booster video, it had 1 engine number showing, and that was in fact booster 9. I checked on their chart, and this is Ship 25. I just thought that was neat. There's charts of where every single engine is, so you know for sure.
Yeah, they definitely analyze all of that footage as closely as possible when it comes to tracking Raptors. So yeah, moving on. I thought that this was really entertaining to see this. So
yeah, and up here is Ship 28 on the newsstand. Much easier to install.
Yeah, you know what? I went and looked up that picture. I could have just went to the next frame in this video. So yeah, okay. Now that's actually interesting. So they're showing here old process versus new process. Subliminal messages they got going there. Cool.
Yeah, there's Ship 26. So that's brand new.
Of course, we got the Cybertruck pulling around an RVAC engine. Of course, we're not going to see the collision that this drone made. This drone is no longer alive, by the way. This drone collided with the RVAC engine. So this was like some of the last things it ever saw before it was destroyed.
Worth it.
Yeah, it was worth it. Okay, there we go. TPS tiles on ceiling.
That is. Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah, I got really jealous when I saw this, and I'm like, dang, I want that in my my house. That'd be really cool.
How many of these are cracked?
Oh wow. Yeah, so this is actually the Ad Astra building, I believe, like one of their room at the Ad Astra building. We're going to keep that in mind because we're going to be talking about a new structure over at the Massey's site here in a second. So yeah, I mean, while we're here, I guess that is a good segue because we're almost at the end of the building. So this is the Ad Astra building, and I have a feeling they may move this. I don't know, but let's just keep in mind the size of this room for a few minutes before we switch over. Oh man, that's pretty epic right there.
That one shot where they're panning up and you see all the condensation flowing off. Yeah, it just wow right there.
That was good.
Oh, that's good stuff.
So that's the end. We are in a holding pattern, waiting for a launch license. So the as you can see in this post, they say the earliest is now November 17th, which is next Friday. So, you know, there's the old pending final regulatory approval that we definitely gotta. I mean, Twitter needs an underlining feature so that you can underline the important part, because that is the most important part. We don't really know when they're going to get that Fish and Wildlife approval, and I don't know. I'm not necessarily convinced that they know either. Like, they probably have an idea that it's coming in, but they're still just like waiting. Like,
And Friday was a federal holiday, so nobody was working there to turn it in. But it may be coming in first thing Monday. I do want to ask you before we move too far, Zach.
yeah.
Do you think the destacking and the hot stage ring coming off might preclude a Friday launch? If it's, if they're tearing it apart and having to wait for weather, might take a little bit longer to get ready.
I don't know. I mean, I think there's probably several reasons why they're destacking. I'm not sure if it's actually related to anything as far as like procedures go with the launch. I think it's all more just related to maintenance. I don't know if there's any, like, I know that, so they do have the FTS boxes installed. I don't know if there's a last step thing that they got to do as far as like pulling a pin or something like that. I don't think it's like that. But I could be wrong. So
they electronically safe and unsafe them, and you can tell, like, when they're landing the Falcon 9, they have the FTS, and every time you hear right before it lands, they safe the FTS before it lands.
right, exactly. So, with that said, yeah, I mean, I think it's all mechanical stuff that they're worried about here. So I don't know. We'll see when they end up destacking. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on. I think we're going to, instead of starting at Massey's, we are going to start at the Port of Brownsville just really quick and just go over what we got going on over there. So the Port of Brownsville, I'm going to switch over to this nice Google Earth view. Wish I could hide this sidebar. Can I do that? Cool. So we have Starbase right here, and then over here is the Port of Brownsville. It kind of goes all the way down there. So if you want to get there from Starbase, you'd have to drive along the highway down here, and then there's the new port access road, which has a few bridges. And so then, boom, you're inside of the port. You actually can't go past this point if you're a civilian. So I thought I was going to be able to drive through the port. Wasn't able to do that. So if you guys ever travel down there, don't even try it, because you're just going to be sitting at a dead-end fence. Anyways, so inside of this port, there is a LNG facility that's under construction, and I believe that is actually going to be right here. So all of this space right here is going to be an LNG facility, and they have started construction on that. We have some images showing, I guess, just the early stages of the groundwork. That's right here. So this is well, that's the office trailers, but yeah, we got tons of vehicles down here. So you guys can see there's like office trailers all over the place down here. There's even more that they're setting up. I think this will end up all being connected together and becoming like one big room, which is a pretty large office space.
I know we've talked about this a number of times, but the fact that there's so much construction with oil and gas in the same area, and nobody bats an eye about that. But SpaceX, they're like, oh, you got a little bit of water going into the water. Got to study that.
That is a good point. I mean, I imagine these guys, this is a industrial type, venture, I guess. So, it probably is easier for them to do what they need as far as regulations go. But yeah, I mean, what we're expecting, I guess, here is an LNG facility where they're, and I was talking to Dave about this before the show. So probably a pipeline coming in here where they're delivering natural gas, and then a liquefaction plant, and a bunch of storage containers. And I'm circling these areas, but it's much larger than this, which I was showing you guys in the Google Earth view.
Could you ever see a spur going from there all the way to SpaceX?
No. And the thing is, with the way where SpaceX gets their natural gas from currently is all the way over in Houston, and I'm not even going to go through the process of trying to show that on this map. But this is way closer to Starbase, so all they have to do is drive down that road, go across the bridge, and around the port, and that's like, I don't know, I want to say like maybe 50
30 miles, 30, 50?
Yeah, maybe like the round 50. I'm thinking about the round trip, probably less than 100 miles. I don't know, I want to say like 80 round trip, possibly. Maybe I'm way overestimating this. But that's a way shorter trip than the 800 miles or so that it is to get to Houston. So, this will be quick for them if they're offloading methane, or I guess being supplied methane from here. So they would have to purify the natural gas into methane, and that would be a good place for them to fill up from. But overall, we think that this is going to be an actual port, so they'll be able to support LNG tankers and ship that off to other countries. Probably, Dave was saying possibly Europe. I don't know, maybe, but lots of countries that buy natural gas. So, having this in this location is good because it means that SpaceX doesn't need to do it themselves as far as like having a purification plant on their property. So I don't know. We may just see them continue to truck their methane back and forth between these two locations. I mean, what would be really cool, which I just don't see happening, though, with the location proximity right here, if they theoretically could build a pipeline, that would be awesome. It's such a short. They're already going to have a pipeline here, so once it's processed, building a pipeline to this location. But then you got this whole wildlife refuge that you got to deal with. So again, that's probably not something that's likely going to happen, but would be really convenient if they were able to do something like that. So yeah, lots of progress going on over there. Going to be several years, I'm guessing, before that's done. But just wanted to mention it, and let's go ahead and I guess move over to Massey's. And Grandpa Joe, it's been a while since you've seen Massey's. What do you think about the changes here?
Oh my God. Yeah, that's a lot. So I did actually get to visit in person up to the bridge, but all I could see was like the top of the booster and a couple of cages. And yeah, there's been a lot of construction, and I see a bunch of pipes going to the test stands, a lot of new capacity. And oh, what's that new building in the bottom right?
Yeah,
The
so this is
framework.
actually kind of what I was mentioning a little bit earlier. So, I mean, we don't know what this is yet, but we can finally see like this got a little mezzanine up here. Um, this kind of, in my opinion, looks like a small launch room, or at least an operations room. You know what I mean? Where you have your main and your, I don't know, Elon and Gwen and whoever up here, and all the rest of your flight control engineers down here. All your big screens on the wall, probably. I don't know. This kind of looks like a good spot for it. It's backwards, but I guess that gives them the ability to turn around and look out the window, potentially, if they're, want to actually watch the ship rising. But I don't know if that's what this is, but in my opinion, it's about the right size for it. So there is a good chance that we possibly could see something like that here. I mean, the other thing is having an actual control room for all of the rest of the testing operations that are going on here. We may actually even end up seeing possibly a static fire test stand back here.
So with that kind of building, I've seen those in the past where you have those two levels up front for either office or mechanical or both, and then you have some sort of like production facility going on in the warehouse part of the building. So it might be like a ground fab shop of sorts for the testing units.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, I'm noticing this got like a little half wall right here, like
Yeah,
something that if you were on
that's
the mountain,
perfect
you
for
got to see over it.
right, and that's perfect for operations where you have the engineers and officers and managers up there reviewing what's going on downstairs live.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, we at least have some sort of structure down here now, which before we were wondering for the longest time what this is going to be, and we're at least able to speculate on its purpose now. So, yeah, I mean, moving this out of the Ad Astra building makes sense to me, and this is like I guess as close as you want to be as far as the exclusion zone goes. So I don't know. Could be a good location for mission control.
And what's in the stress test cell right there?
So this is 24.1, I think. So this is the payload section test article, which now is sitting inside of the nose cone jail. So they got it. I think I can't tell if there's a cap on it. I don't think there is, but there should be. And we don't have ground images this week, unfortunately, or else we'll be able to get a closer look on what kind of setup they have here. But yeah, this is the one that has the I want to say 20 little ports going around the top of it, and so those are theoretically so you can put cables over them as you're pulling down on the test article. So this is, as we've said many times on many different episodes, a long overdue test, which is to make sure that the payload section, a real payload section, not one like on ship 25, which is welded shut, the new payload section design, making sure essentially that it's structurally safe, I guess. This is something that they do on every part of the vehicle. They just recently did the nose cone section. I think like three or 4 months ago, they just recently did that. So they've been doing a lot of testing down here, though. They also did, this is ship 27's aft section. So they did the structural qualification test for the new engine shielding, we believe, because this engine shielding has to
make sure it doesn't get all crunchy whenever it gets under stress.
Yes, specifically during the hot staging.
Good call.
Yeah, so they upgraded this. We believe they upgraded the engine shielding, and so they tested, I guess, to make sure that it could withstand the blowback pressure of the engines igniting during hot staging. So,
by the way, before you get too far away from it, I love the SpaceX landing logo to the top right, just out of frame there. It's in white. Yeah, right there.
Oh, right here. Yeah. This is for the markers for where the structural test stand for the starships go. I think they'll probably end up putting another one underneath this one. They've been doing it pretty much everywhere lately, throwing these circles up. Well, I guess we'll keep moving up in this area. So this is booster 11, which finished testing a while ago, and right now you can see that it has its chines removed. These are the locations where like the new CO2 tank that they've installed in there goes. So it's half naked. They still have work to do on this. Still have engines to install after this. After structural qualification testing is complete, which we think it already is. So this is essentially just waiting to go back to the Mega Bay and have its engines installed at this point.
So the chines, they cover the COPVs for nitrogen and carbon dioxide and what else? Or is that it?
So I don't know if we fully know everything that's in the COPVs, but yeah, there's COPVs on this side, which possibly helium, nitrogen, and maybe even gaseous oxygen and methane. We're not sure on those, but those are used in the engine startup process, specifically in the igniters. So there is a possibility that those are stored in those COPVs as well. And then the ones on the front hold CO2, and those are really long tanks which have not been installed yet here. So we'll probably not see that until it goes back into the Mega Bay, and it'll come back with those installed.
I wonder if SpaceX picks theirs up at the local soda, Coca-Cola distributor. Just pick up a big CO2 tank, call it a day.
I think they actually make them on site. They're really large. They're super long tanks. So we've seen good pictures of them on the ground. And yeah, they actually upgraded these recently. So pretty large tanks that go underneath those chines.
They could definitely get an opportunity to promote, put some Diet Coke logos on the side of this thing. We're good to go.
I hope they don't put logos on the side of it.
I
know. But yeah, so over in this area, this is kind of where we've been hoping that we may see additional test stands, possibly static fire test stand up in here, and they've begun further clearing it out. So they removed all of the stuff that was kind of just like chilling over in this area. All the like old equipment, they've pretty much cleaned all of that up and moved it out. And the area that they were using for the burst testing, the little basin that they had set up here, they've removed most of that dirt. They've also got a little road, throwing down road base. They're like putting down a full loop around the entire perimeter. So I don't know. I think this is starting to look more and more like we'll actually see that test stand that we're waiting for arrive in this location. And we also have some random pad that they're setting up down here and a brand new crane. So they got a new crane down in this area, which means they are going to be starting some additional work. This reminds me of the one that they used to build most of the smaller items in the orbital tank farm. And on that note...
Zach, before we get too far away, you mentioned they might be doing static fires here. Have you seen any methane infrastructure going in or anything of that sort?
Well, yeah, we're kind of getting to that right here. So I don't know if these were mentioned last week. I wasn't here last week, but we've got new subcoolers that have arrived to the Sanchez site. And these are a very interesting arrival. And I've been looking for signs that we would see, as we were saying, proof that we should expect some sort of engine testing to happen here. And to me, this is the first real sign of that. So as we all know, they've done plenty of both booster and ship cryo tests here without having subcoolers. So even the suborbital tank farm at the launch site has subcoolers. They're a little bit smaller. But given that they have them there and they don't have them here, tells me that those subcoolers are really only needed during engine testing. So when they're just performing structural qualification testing and cryo tests, it's fine for them to just use regular
nitrogen straight up.
Yeah, exactly. So just nitrogen or maybe even LOX. But when you're going to be testing with doing engine testing, you want to do that testing under flight-like conditions, which is going to be super chilling both your liquid oxygen and your liquid methane. So, these arriving here, we already know that they have all of the new ones that they need for the orbital tank farm. And so seeing these arrive here, to me, is a sign that we may see super chilling happening at this test site, which, could only be, in my opinion, for engine testing.
I think you're absolutely right. Yeah, if they didn't super chill oxygen and methane, then yeah, you couldn't do flight testing. It's just the wrong density. But why else would you need that there?
Yeah, so I'm excited for that. That's going to be something to look out for. I mean, they are finally starting construction of whatever's going to go in this area, and this is some of the first equipment that's arrived for it. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's becoming more clear that we will probably see either potentially just a spin prime test stand, but I think we'll see a static fire test stand and possibly some sort of flame trench.
Now thinking next steps after that makes me wonder, hey, if you can do static fire testing over here, you don't need the suborbital test pad, and you can build a second tower or another launch pad over at the launch site.
Well,
I mean that is far off speculation. Don't let me get us down a random rabbit hole, but it's a good thought.
The ship static fire test stands are lower to the ground, and while that is possible to put one of those here, like I think as far as what we've seen so far, they really are only in the process of possibly making two separate booster static fire stands. And, already having two static fire stands for ships at the suborbital site, having two for boosters as well kind of makes sense. So I don't know if they need to relocate the ones at the launch site, but, on that note, I think where the suborbital test stands are at the launch site, you wouldn't maybe necessarily want to put another orbital pad there, because then you'd have to fly over the first one.
Ooh, yeah, it's a good call.
To the water. not necessarily be launching over that tower and also landing over that tower, essentially. So
YOLO.
you never know, though. It's not impossible.
No, that sounds pretty crazy when you say it like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess let's check on. Oh, hold on. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything else down here. So we got new concrete down this area. Whoop-de-doo. But they've got some crane mats going on over here. So we'll probably see whatever is going to go on this pad arrive soon. So it looks kind of like another pedestal for a large tank. So we'll see what kind of tank ends up going there. It could be a big methane tank or something else. That would actually be interesting to convert these over to methane, and then you have, I'm also would expect additional, well, like at least one additional tank over here. But we'll either, if with that static fire test stand, either see them convert one of these over to methane or add in additional tanks for methane over in this area or something like that. So just things to keep our eyes out for. But Astro Joe, do we have any donations or questions that we want to address? I know we've been rambling on for 48 minutes now.
It's all good. We did have some questions that you already touched on, so as to not be redundant, we'll skip those. We've had a lot of support, so I'm going to speed run this. Barry Wood, £5 before the show started. Keep up the good work, Stephanie, every week. It just seems to get a little bit easier, and shout out to the rest of the team as well. Jake Winlow gifted 5 memberships before the stream started, as well as Jim Cavett came in with 1. Julian Richards with a £10 super chat. I'll jump on the train, some towards fuel. Steve Coates with $1.99. Choo choo. Jim Cavett, $10. All aboard. Sharpie, $10. Choo choo. Keep up the good work, RGV team. Rocket Profit with $10. Hopping on the Sharpie train. Choo choo. JK Video with $20 super chat. No message. We got a bunch of new gifted memberships, so welcome everybody and thank your gifters. We got 55 Chevy Guy Steve gifted 5 memberships. Jim Cavett with another membership. Methane Man with 5 memberships. Not Tom B gifted a membership. William Foss gifted a membership. Jax, that's JACQS, not Ring Watchers Jax, gifted a membership. Sharpie gifted a membership, as well as Rocket Profit gifted 10. Thank you all for your support.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you everybody for supporting the channel. We really appreciate that. Definitely goes a long way for helping Mauricio stay up in the air and also helping out with all the production work that we do in the background. So thank you to all of you who support us and allow us to keep doing this every week.
And thanks to Irma for taking such wonderful pictures.
Yeah, definitely. So do we have any questions on Massey's?
We're good to proceed, bud.
Wow, that's a first. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move over to the Sanchez site then, where I'm still zoomed in on the engine install stand.
Enhance.
So let me get us over to this area right here. So we have finally, and I think this was maybe finished last week, but that ground fabrication building looking all nice and shiny compared to what it used to look like has finally been nearly completed, it looks like. So that's awesome. This is good having this building back up and running because I think they've been doing a lot of work that normally would be done in here elsewhere. So, for one, I think these two possible static fire test stands could both be worked on at the same time in here, more than likely, if they wanted to. So that's kind of an example of things that normally would not happen outside.
It seems so tight to get those things in there. Like they've got it pushed up too close.
Yeah, it would be difficult. But I think if they move just this shipping container out of the way, they may be able to fit. I don't know.
I'm sure they have a couple of forklift certified folks that can move stuff around.
Right. Yeah, but normal sized ring sections and even this one right here could definitely fit through there. So I think, they're going to be happy to have this back up and running. But I think they're still doing some electrical work. We've seen them still laying electrical lines. They got the boxes down here, which have not been completed yet. So we're actually not sure if this is for that building or if they're going to go across the street. So where is it at? there is a box right here, which is the new part of the new Brownsville 3-phase line. So it goes underground right there, and they're almost like pretty much the next step could be to go straight towards that. So not sure if they're tapping in a second line into the site or whatnot, or if this is actually for that building, but having these 4 electrical boxes here kind of seems excessive just for this like last structure down here. So
It kind of seems like that would be more for, I don't know, transmitting power to like the air separator unit, but they were taking that apart. Maybe they're getting a new unit out there or something.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're gonna have to keep our eyes on this. I mean, it looks like what is on the way, how they send power to all the other buildings. So it, could just be more of the same, but there's a possibility that they're tapping another main line into their transformer station that's over here.
I do want to add before we move off too far. So I was down there recently for the La Padre Crow Fest. Super fun, great times every Halloween. And one of the big things I noticed out on site was just all that 3-phase power they had run in over cable up until maybe a mile out from the site and then buried and run. And boy, the water table is just a few feet underground there. So everywhere they had dug up and run conduit was just full of water. So quite the challenges out there.
Yeah, I mean, luckily for most of it, they have covered it with like concrete that kind of protects to some degree for having to worry about water getting into these lines. So they did that at least with most of the stuff on within site and like everything that's outside of here. But I don't know for sure whether or not they did it with all the stuff that goes back towards Brownsville or back towards what's that road called? Rocket? Well,
Reynolds Road, River.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, I'm not sure what they did with the underground stuff here, but I'm sure that it's fine. They definitely thought ahead on that. They know well. They should be well aware of what the water table is doing down here. So, yeah, we're gonna move just towards this area right here where we can see that conduit being covered up with concrete. But the other thing that's going on down here, we have a new structure which we kind of saw the base being laid out a few weeks ago, and now they've got a concrete. This is like a basement, so this is really weird. I'm gonna actually find a closer view of this, hopefully, so we can clear it up a little bit. But yeah, they got a bunch of like piles of road base down here, and which I think they're using this basket to like lower it in here, which is interesting. They don't have any doors on this at all. And then you have extra supports in the middle, so it's almost like something else is going to go on top of this, which is interesting. Very different than anything we've seen on site. Like, I don't know if they're building this up so they can put a huge slab of concrete on top of it, like for a basement or what. But yeah, it's very, very odd whatever is going on here.
And whatever it is, it's hefty.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about it the other night, and I didn't really hear any good ideas of like what this actually might be, but just another mystery structure that we're gonna have to be on the lookout for to actually figure out what it's gonna be. But something heavy. So yeah, we'll have to keep our eyes on that. But it's right next to the transformer station down here, and this is like the whole distribution station for the whole site. So right down in that area. And I think further down here, well, okay, so I want to mention something about this because I've been on the lookout for, a few weeks ago, I had several people ask me about this. There was a report that came out saying that SpaceX was looking for permission or had been granted permission, I can't remember which one, to dump like 200,000 gallons of water a day, treated water a day, into this, I think they call this the South Bay here. And so been on the lookout to see like what that's about, because as far as we know, there aren't any real wastewater processes going on out here. So there is the down here, this is actually a water treatment facility, but this is bringing water up from this well right here and treating it and storing it in this tank. So I don't know. Some of those processes do have wastewater involved with them, which theoretically they may be trucking away, like storing. This could be the last stage of that process, and they're storing it in there temporarily, taking that water away, and then maybe they'll start dumping it out. But I don't think that this is going to be producing anywhere near that much water. So,
Well,
if you're
they
dumping
do.
200,000 a day, that's your waste stream from a water treatment process, and that means, I don't know. Usually, let's say like 2/5 of it will be waste, so you'd be producing 300,000 gallons usable, and then like 200,000 gallons waste. And this is not a 200,000 gallon storage tank. So I don't know if this is that process that they're talking about, but it could be something that's still uh, in the works. Like whatever that building is whatever that process is, just may not be here yet. And let me, I guess, just keep moving over to this area. This is what Grandpa Joe was mentioning a few minutes ago, is that they are getting rid of this air separation plant. So we don't know what they're going to do here. They could expand the rocket garden, but they also could be putting a somewhat other sort of facility here, which may be related to that article that was put out about, dumping 200,000 gallons here.
Not that it 100% matters, but the original plans for the launch site had an air separator unit out there. So I don't know. Maybe they might go for that and use this more as a rocket garden. I mean, especially now that they have that three-phase power out there. Plenty of opportunities to use that power to crack open that air and get your LOX and your liquid nitrogen direct to the site. Then all you have to do is deliver the methane and the water. But if they could figure out how to get that water built on site, man, you'd really be cooking.
Yeah, I mean, that is an interesting thought. I'm going to switch over to this other view really quick. And I don't have that map in front of me, or else I'd bring it up. But I'm pretty sure that what is going on here? Wrong image.
Lovely image.
So the proposed, air separation plant for the launch site was, I believe, like right in this
there.
area. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I'm expecting that like after the first, I don't know, five successful launches, they're going to, number one, start trying to like increase their launch cadence. So like right now they're only approved for like 5 launches a year, but I imagine that very quickly they're going to want to increase that if possible. Like they just need to get a few successful launches under their belt, possibly even catch the booster out of midair. And then immediately after that, once they're able to like start reusing vehicles, and honestly, even before that, because they're making them so fast, like they're gonna want to increase their launch cadence like dramatically soon. And so I think if there ever is an air separation plant here, it will come like maybe a year or a year or two from now. You know what I mean? When they actually expand this out to put a second launch site down here. So I don't know. At this moment, I would say that it just looks like this air separation plant is just going away, and we don't really have any signs of it reappearing anywhere else. But
Yeah,
as you
and
can
I'll,
see
I'll
here,
say this: at their current launch cadence, they are not resource constrained. And I'm going to make an air gas joke real quick and say that it's a very fluid situation, and they'll do what they need to when they need to.
yeah, I mean, I imagine this facility does have a good amount of value, so they may be reselling it to somewhere else or throwing it in storage or something like that. But they are carefully taking everything apart. As you can see here, they've been holding this cooling tower at the top for like days. So I think they're in there cutting everything apart so that they can remove this and break it back into pieces like it was when they first brought it out here. So it does look like they're planning to reuse it. We don't know if SpaceX will make use of it somewhere else or if they're selling it. But yeah, I mean, the only thing that I believe they'll actually keep are these tanks over here because they're going to need more of those at the launch site soon. So they're probably will borrow these from here and move those over to the launch site. But something's going to go here because they've got these 2 new water tanks down here, three water tanks. So we'll see something, whether it's an additional rocket garden. That's possible, but I just given that they put this water tank in here for no reason, I think that I think it's not for no reason. Like we'll see something else over here soon. So yeah, moving on. I guess we will mention the engine install stands down here really quick, or the remaining one, and then the mystery stands. Sorry, let me get a better view of those. This was probably a good one. So we have the third engine install stand being worked on down here, and I guess because of the way that the work platforms that surround these are shaped, we did have a few 3D artists out there who had some ideas of how that is actually going to look in the Mega Bay when all three of these are finished. So there is, I guess, a possibility that the third one could go in the Mega Bay. I personally thought that there would be two in each, like Mega Bay 2 in Mega Bay 1, 2 in Mega Bay 2, but have been some other ideas floated out there, and I'll show one from Chrome Kiwi here, which is a triple. This is like a, I guess they call it the area, engine install area. So this is kind of like an assembly line where you can have up to 3 boosters under construction at a time. And so I guess the reason that they thought that this would be the case, having all 3 in the back of the Mega Bay like this, is because of the shape of the work platform on this side, where it looks like it's made to like butt up against another semicircular object. So if they're both like that on both sides, it would kind of make sense to see this. We got some other views of this too. That's what it looks like from the outside. And there's another one here showing it from the back. And this is my problem with the idea. I guess it's just the clearance that they have back here. I think this makes it really difficult to move engines back and forth. Like, you actually want to be able to use, a forklift instead of just roll it on the ground. So I don't know. I'm not sold on it looking like this in the end, but it is an interesting possibility that I want to share, because it's they did some good work on this. But that would be really cool. I mean, either way, it gives you the ability to install engines on 3 boosters at one time, and this is really getting closer, in my opinion, to I guess what we were expecting when Elon said that there was up to, I don't even remember what he said, 12 workstations or something like that for the Mega Bay.
In one Mega Bay or in both of them? Because
in
that's a
one Mega
lot.
Bay is what he said. So I mean,
What?
I think this is more like, so they probably for the most part want to keep this middle area open, just so they can move vehicles in and out. It's like an aisle, but you can have at least 2 right here and another 2 right there. So that would be 7 of them. And theoretically, you can have something temporarily parked in the middle, so that's 8. But yeah, I mean, having these back here, in a way, gives them more space to have additional workstations, because it's a little more organized. They're not like, moving things around as much. So I don't know. This is pretty cool either way. I think the problem is that in some of the pictures that we've seen, specifically last week, it looked like this stand is not quite in that back corner. So it may not actually fit that way. So we're not sure. We're not sure if this is in the back corner or if it's more in this spot right here. I haven't actually tried to like picture match it myself, but maybe we'll have some more answers on that.
And not to say they couldn't move it around, but they do have those little semicircular shapes up higher to access the boosters. So you would imagine they'd want to nestle it right where you can get the catwalks to access all those areas.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much perfect for that. I mean,
Yeah, right. I
even
mean,
looking at it right now, I can't imagine it being anything else. So
right,
um,
exactly.
yeah, it just kind of makes sense. And in the front, there is a ton of room to bring those engines in from this side, but all of the engines are stored in that building in the backside. So, I mean,
Maybe
it's really quick.
they'll go through the center one and then out under the platform to the next one.
That is such a pain. But yeah, I was thinking about that. I thought about that, but I canceled it in my mind, because I was like, that is kind of a pain having to drive underneath there, because there is this platform down there. So you got to like lift the platform up, drive underneath the platform. I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe they'll just get an easy mover, one of those furniture movers, throw it on there and just roll it in.
Yeah, I mean, it would be really interesting to see the way that they end up doing this. Maybe we'll get a good view of it once Tim Dodd or something does his next tour of Starbase, that'll be really cool to see this once it's complete. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to Sanchez. I think we're actually kind of don't really have much else to cover there.
If that one is that Chrome Kiwi thing posted somewhere on Twitter, I'd love to share that out.
Yeah, that was on their Twitter. Maybe we can put the link in the description if somebody's able to do that for us. Yeah, but give them a follow as well. They always, every time there's like new things that show up to Starbase, they tend to like model them so we can see what they look like. They're pretty quick with it too, so give them a follow on Twitter for more posts like that. But yeah, so what else we got going on here? Not much. They are still working on these stands, and as I've said last week and every other week before that, as we've been watching these, still thinking that this could be involved in that engine test stand. The difficult thing is that we haven't been able to see back here whether or not there are in fact holes in these walls. Like, it looks like there are holes there, and that would be for the Raptor QDs to fit back there. So yeah, we gotta wait until we get the perfect light where we can actually see in there to determine what they're doing. But if that is the case, then they still got a lot of work left to do on these. And again, it is possible that these could go in the Mega Bay, but I don't know. I'm just not seeing that currently. I don't know why you would need different types of clamps on this than what you have on the other stands. Like, if you can fit a full booster full of engines on those other stands, then I don't see a reason why to have an even beefier one that has 20 clamps instead of 10. So yeah, I don't know. We'll just have to keep revisiting this every time we see this thing until they actually do something else with it that kind of gives away its actual purpose. So as far as the rest of Sanchez, there's not really a whole lot to mention. There are some weird looking triangle things down here. If one of you 3D artists wants to figure out where these go, they're definitely some I want to say some steel triangles that are, I don't know, usually some stage 0 stuff is getting made down here. So I've been like looking for areas where they might be putting these where these might fit, but I don't know.
They're going to put them all together and make a pyramid.
We got some random like blocked off area down here, which kind of been keeping my eye on, wondering what they're doing, because they're storing equipment down here temporarily, which means they're probably doing some work out here, but nothing really else to say about that at this point. But yeah, let's move ahead to the ring yard, since we've been spending a lot of time south of the actual business area of Starbase,
where all the magic happens.
Yeah, we got the Mega Bay 2, which is making pretty good progress. We'll go check it out from this angle. And this is cool because you can see that they've got about half of the floor completed. The concrete that's actually up here, I think they were probably doing it on this day. It looks pretty fresh. So they have that pipe that goes up to the top where they can pump concrete up here. And it looks like they did about half of it at a time. So I actually saw some concrete trucks going back and forth yesterday, so I have a feeling that the rest of this is already completed by now.
I always love it on these images when you can see people for scale, and it's mind-blowing how big this thing is.
Yeah, for sure. This is a very large space up here, and they've gotten some more penetrations through here for where the stairs, there's 2 sets of stairs on each side, so they got penetrations for the top of the stairs, and then they've kind of finished the ones for the elevator. This is for the elevator shaft, so they've got those going all the way up to the roof on both sides, and then there's another one right here, which is very odd, and I think that might be HVAC for up here. Like, that's a penetration for the HVAC system to end up right in this corner, and I don't know if there's one on this side. I don't think there is one on this side, so there's only one of them. So I think that may be what they're about to do up there, which makes sense. On the other Mega Bay, they didn't have any HVAC up there, and we actually, truthfully, still don't know if they do yet. But with this one, it looks like that's going to be like a kind of something they want to do immediately. So like they'll probably complete this building like fully much faster than they did with this one. I mean, because this one's still technically under construction. They haven't even moved all of this. They still have this scaffolding remaining. They don't have anything up here as far as we know. And it took them, I think, like 6 to 9 months to install the windows up there. And as we've seen over the past like 2 weeks or so, they've delivered some windows right here, which at this point, kind of assuming that they're going to be for the Mega Bay. Initially, when these arrived, C. Nunez posted a picture of them, and as they were arriving, and I told them those are not for the Mega Bay; those are probably for the Star Factory. But when we look at the Star Factory in a second, we'll kind of be able to tell that it does not, in fact, look like they're planning for windows on the front of the Star Factory like we were hoping. So these are more likely for the actual Mega Bay.
That seems like way too many for the Mega Bay. Maybe some of them are for the Mega Bay and some are for the Star Factory. We'll see.
I don't know. They're all the same size, so I'm just guessing that's what they're for. I mean, seeing them from this angle makes them look taller than what the actual window size is when you look at it from here. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty positive that's what those are, and the location that they're sitting in kind of gives that away too. But
I'll add that just seeing all that glass there and imagining how heavy it is, and then seeing that all on the tippy top along with the concrete makes that building seem real top heavy.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, it's going to be top heavy when they're holding boosters in midair as well too. So, but this is I guess while we're here, that engine install stand, so you can see that curved section right here, and there's one on both sides. So this is kind of where that thought process came from, that there would be 3 of them next to each other, which again, just the way it looks, I mean, I would say that's probably what's going to happen. So, eating some crow there, but that's fine. What else do we have going on out in the ring yard? Not much. I don't really have a ton of comments on the stuff down here. We don't have Jax with us. The only thing new down here from when I was last on the show is they've got the hot stage test article back here, which obviously means they're done testing it, which we should expect considering the launch is like right around the corner. But
we'll get one more structural test out of the launch.
Right. In the Mega Bay, we still have booster 10 in this corner receiving its engines. This other engine installs. You know what? That has to be in the back corner. We were talking the other day, and people were saying it's not. That's definitely in the back corner.
Nobody puts it in the back corner.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
Dirty
it looks like
Dancing reference.
Yeah, I got you. I mean, that to me, that's what it looks like. I think it's in that back corner. So that render from Chrome Kiwi might be pretty on point. With that said, so yeah, we'll just, like I said, keep our eyes on that. But I think there's another booster in the front, or in both of these positions right here. I think 12 and 13. I think maybe in this front corner. It's been a while since I've seen them, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that there's 3 boosters in here right now, which is crazy because you can't see any of them from this angle. So
I just can't believe they have 3 ships in the high bay. I mean, it's just so packed in there.
Yeah, they're like butting up against each other at this point. So we have, oh boy, let me see. So ship 28 right here.
No, sorry, yeah, that's 28
here,
out in the ring.
Ship 28, ship 29, ship 20, 26, and then down in here we have 30, 31, and 32 is in this other corner right here out of view.
Yeah, 32 is just waiting for its aft section.
Yeah, so they're moving on the starships. It's crazy to see nearly, I guess, just in this view right here, 4 plus 3 over here, so 7 starships just in different stages of completion. We don't know what's going to happen with 26. A lot of people don't think that one's going to fly for various reasons, so it could be getting scrapped soon. But we have at least, I guess we'll take 20 out of there. So 5 starships in various stages of completion, subtracting off the ones that may be scrapped.
Well, 20 is scrapped too, but yeah, real quick to geek out as a process flow engineer. they're building these ships in a matter of structurally in a matter of 20 to 30 days, but then they're taking months and months to finish off all the refining internal processes. So if I were trying to build these in a week, I would be focusing much more on the Star Factory and building all the subcomponents to be able to bolt in all at once in one go and just have pre-assemblies ready to bolt on and rock and roll and just a few connections at the mating points, call it a day.
Yeah, I would think they're getting a lot closer to reaching that point. They've definitely improved a lot from where they started from when it comes to stacking ships. Like a lot of those pieces are integrated before they lift them on at this point. But
Yeah.
obviously,
And
there's always going to be more that can be done.
yeah, and going forward, the ships are going to be more and more complicated. I mean, if you look at Mark 1, it was literally just an empty shell with a couple of engines bolted to it. These are going to have life support, equipment handling, handling the Starship or Starlink satellite launchers. So there's all sorts of stuff that's going to be going in these in the future that it doesn't have right now. So it's going to take longer.
Yeah, and I think on that note, some of that stuff may not happen in there. Like anything related to the payload sections will probably take place in the Star Factory because it's large enough to do that in there. And then really, you're just stacking that nose cone with all of that life support or payload stuff. You're just rolling it in there complete and then stacking it on top. Ideally,
Right, exactly. And that right there would be amazing. Speaking of, while you got this image up, that area to the bottom left where all the ground is being laid for Star Factory next sections, I see they're laying conduit and pilings and equipment. Yeah, so you see where they're going to be having heavy pieces of equipment there in the future. Have y'all gotten any insights from those?
um, well, I mean, we can kind of tell the shape of it. If these are if these are like ground pedestals, I guess, for the columns, if that's what these are right here, then it kind of looks like it's going to slant down in this direction instead of go straight across. So they have started with these ones for the other supports. So we may or may not see them actually close in this side of the building. I have a feeling they won't. There's kind of no real reason to. They could just throw up a tarp in between them while they're building the rest of this out because I think we're probably, if I had to guess, maybe 1 to 2 months away from them demolishing this building. So uh, almost everything that's done in this building should be able to fit in here once they finish this off. So um, once they can throw a tarp up on the edge of this building and keep it cool, I think they will probably move everything out of this tent, and they're getting pretty close to that. So after this picture, as of today, almost this entire side is finished being
Oh, wow.
yeah, like they've almost finished covering up this entire side. So
Uh, I had a good laugh. I talked to the graduate student who organized the ground fab move from where it was located to where it was moved to now. And so it made me laugh that they just have a master's degree grad student who was doing an internship there that did that huge move. So right now, I can almost guarantee you there's one or two of those guys just planning the onion tent move to the Star Factory.
yeah, I mean it is a coordination process that needs to happen. You don't want to disrupt manufacturing, so kind of needs to all be done at the perfect time where everything's just ready to move over all at once. And that's going to mean getting the bridge cranes in there, getting your HVAC installed and all that stuff before that happens. So it's like as smooth as possible.
Yeah,
But on that
and
note,
oh, go ahead.
I was going to say on that note, they are making some progress on the HVAC. They've finished it on this section of the building. They did that a few weeks ago, but finally seeing the penetrations on these buildings for that, which initially it almost didn't look like they were going to have them on the center building for a while. We can see that they're pretty much coming straight across. And yeah, they're getting close to actually installing those here soon, I would say. That's one of the last steps really for making it like habitable. You want to have HVAC in there, and then they'll probably knock down the wall well, it's just a tarp wall that's in between these two tents right now, so that it combines those spaces into one. But wow, yeah, they're making crazy amounts of progress on this.
But yeah, much like the ships, even once you have the shell in place, it's going to take months, if not years, to get it fully fleshed out, tooled, and the process honed in.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably new transport stands and whatnot that they need to fully fill all this out. But I think a lot of that stuff is kind of already hanging out in different areas. So they have a bunch of unused ones down here. And then over at the Sanchez site, there's a ton of them just sitting around not being used. So I think they've kind of reconstructed a lot of the stuff they're going to need to like get this going pretty quickly. It really may come down to like installing all of your welding robots and bridge cranes and all that stuff and your smaller pedestal cranes. So yeah, there is some work definitely that needs to be done.
Part of me also wants to see the end result on the left side be almost as high as the high bay, and then just out rolls entirely completed ships one after the other.
That would be pretty cool.
I doubt that'll happen, but it sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean but one thing to note is that their electrical system down here is a lot heavier than what was done in this building. So it's interesting because these do not look identical as far as the electrical work goes. So it seems like there's going to be a lot more heavy duty processes happening in this area, which is kind of odd, but I don't know. We'll have to, just sit back and be spectators and wait to see what actually ends up inside of this. But again, it's going to take a long time for us to actually see what's in there because even once it's complete, we won't really know until we get a tour or something. So I'm going to move on to the village area because there's not much to really else talk about down here. So before I do that, Astro Joe, do we have any other questions yet up to this point?
Indeed. I do want to thank I Am Groot for a $9.99 super chat and Rocket with a $9.99 super chat. Groot says, hey guys. Jim Cabot, thank you for the $10 super chat for Indy's Catnip Fund. And Binay, is it possible with a $6.99 Canadian dollar super chat? Is it possible the black transport stands are the beginnings of orbital launch tables?
No, I don't think they're not big enough. They don't have the ability to retract the clamps fast enough, and they're not big enough to.
It was an old question. Sorry, okay. We did touch on that already. Crane Man does ask, could they still plan a glass facade to be constructed at the Star Factory?
Yeah, I mean, so on the building, the Starlink building in, was it Bastrop or something like that? It's not glass all on one side. It kind of like slants up towards the point at the corner, and then again slants down in this direction. So it is possible that the glass, if they put it on this building at all, will be down in this area on this corner, and doesn't necessarily have to be all the way across the wall. So, yeah, fingers crossed we'll see some glass, but at this point, this part of the building, definitely no glass.
For sure. I don't know this. I don't know this term, but my username Sucks asks, is that a TPO roof that they are installing on Starbase plant? What's a TPO roof? I don't know.
I have no idea.
Tapered, maybe? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not good with acronyms unless they're common Starbase acronyms, because like every industry has its own acronyms. So helpful in those cases to fully spell them out just so we're all on the same page. But yeah, if they can maybe update that in the chat, then I'll maybe try and re-answer that question. But I'm not like a roof specialist at all, so I'm not even sure if I know the answer to it.
Would Philip know in here?
Possibly, yeah. Is he still with us? I do not see Philip in here, so we're gonna have to hold off and answer that question once we. Oh, there he is. Philip, you got it on? I guess we're gonna have to wait.
My username in chat is saying it's a type of roof system, but Dave is saying thermoplastic polythene, TPO. Thermoplastic
I have no idea.
polyolefin. Polyolefin. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I guess kind of like the rubbery material on top of RVs or something like that, I guess.
I mean, they did lay down several layers of something on here, so like kind of insulation, I guess. Um, like because it was the roof looked like this, except it was black. Then they put like
TPO
10 layers.
roofing.
Maybe that's what it is.
At any rate, I want to thank John DeVries for becoming a member at the RGV flight supporter level. Thank you very much. And I got a clean slate here.
Cool. All right. Well, let's move over to the village in that case. So I don't normally like to talk about the houses that much, but I do think it's cool what they got going on back here. So they are making a lot of progress with all of these structures back here. Maybe this is a better one. All of these houses are coming along. They got foundations all over the place. Some of them are actually, in various processes of being constructed. We got this one's almost complete. So these all look like duplexes where there's, one family possibly on each side. These are some of the largest in all of the village. Like these are pretty much the largest houses out here. So splitting them in half kind of makes them about the same as all the rest of these, which is nice because it's allows people to bring their whole families up here if they want to, and definitely good for just bringing as many of your workers on site as possible, because having to drive all the way back and forth to Brownsville every single night after work kind of sucks. So this is a good progress.
They have a checkpoint that can sometimes take an hour to get through. And I know a lot of people, for quality of life, don't want to be right next to their work. But boy, if you love your job here, living here would save, an hour, 2 hours a day out of your life.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say one of the only things really missing up here is like a grocery store. They do have like rec centers and various, other activities that they can do out here. I think there's a soccer field right here. A potential basketball. No. Okay. Well, I guess I haven't seen this yet. This is the parking area for the hovercrafts. Whoever said that a few weeks ago was right. I was hoping that was going to be a basketball court, but they do have a volleyball court over there. So a little bit of recreation activities. No grocery store, but I imagine they're gonna need like something like that at some point, because there's a lot of houses down here. I mean, this is comparing this to even without these complete. Like, this is definitely a lot more of like a village now than it was before. So this is really cool, just having this many employees able to live up here, and I think we'll see something down in this area as well too. They're getting some groundwork laid here for some kind of plumbing. I don't know if this is. Yeah, I mean, I can't tell what they're going to do down there, but I mean, it could be just more houses the way they have that lined up, like a common drain line or something like that. I have no idea.
Yeah, that's a standard drain line, and then you got all your little subdivision
Maybe like an
spurs.
apartment complex.
Nah, I think that's just going to be
Oh,
houses.
okay, cool.
I was going to joke. They started construction of the gas station, and the EPA says they'll get the paperwork done in about 6 years.
That would, I mean, I imagine if I wouldn't imagine ever seeing a gas station, but supercharging stations probably be more likely with the amount of Teslas up here. But yeah, back here, I'm just like, instead of finding another image, just gonna go ahead and zoom this one. You can see that obviously these ones have been here for a while. These are some of the newer ones from about a month ago. And down in this area where we did see the solar farm was removed, they have some even more of those tiny homes down here. So I think we may see a whole other area of just these types of houses down here. And I think these remind me of like where I stay when I'm at work. They're like rooms that are just made for like one person, and potentially you're like you're only down here for like a week or two, something like that, where you're not actually like living down here. I think that's kind of what these are, is like contractor homes. So your contractors can stay on site for a few days at a time. And they don't need like the same type of living space that's down here. So moving on, I don't know if there's much to cover down here, but they have, after the HLS nose cone prototype was moved behind the Mega Bay, they've started removing all of the shipping containers back here, so we may see some additional structures back here soon.
Has anything changed at all with the Starlink building?
Nope.
Cool.
No, other than this little parking lot that they have over here. This parking space over here, and then they have this new larger parking space down here. And I thought they were going to remove this Megapack station over here, but it looks like they're going to keep that there. Really odd considering they don't have any solar power anymore, but
Man, people park anywhere down there.
I just don't get it. I don't get. Maybe I don't know enough about the Megapacks, like what purpose you would have for them unless you have solar power. But
Yeah, not much use,
Yeah.
especially with that 3-phase coming through now.
yeah, but we'll see. Maybe they'll throw solar panels up on top of these, but probably not. A lot of these houses in this neighborhood have solar roofs though, so it could be like a common storage station for like all of these houses possibly, but I don't know.
Oh yeah, there you go. And that's the Solar City Tesla solar roof.
Tesla solar roofs on a lot of these. It's tough to tell which ones have it, but there are a bunch of them in this neighborhood that have it. I actually read through the book written, Elon's autobiography book. I forget what it's called. But I know that a lot of the development for those solar tiles was like kind of happening in this area as far as like their demonstration. And then several years ago, they actually did redo a lot of the roofs down here with those tiles. Anyway, enough about tiles and houses. Let's move on to the suborbital launch site or test stand area. I guess they're not really launching anything there anymore these days.
Too sad.
So, ever since they've gotten this parking lot down here, they obviously had the wall that was going around this, and now they've been spending the last couple of weeks extending the wall, so it's even taller now. And I think this is interesting for several reasons. It's kind of like making the site more. I don't even know what the right word I want to use is. Like for safety purposes, you kind of want like a legit fence around this that people can't just like walk into your launch site.
Yeah,
So
when I was down there, a nice gentleman showed up, and he just didn't realize, and he just started walking into the launch site, and we all, yelled at him to like, "Oh, hey, come back!" But security missed it, and he had a hat that made him look like he was a SpaceX employee. He just walked right up to the booster, and it's like, dude, yeah, so yeah, I think the fence is a great idea where you can put it, because there's some areas that blast will take out the fence every time. And I do also think it keeps things out, but it also keeps things in. So perhaps if there's some debris, it may not go through that fence, or I don't know if that was part of their thinking.
I think to some degree that's possible storm surge protection, which is something I've been looking for like ever since they started building this. Like, the shipping containers have the potential to like float away in a storm surge. So a wall like this, when the water's coming inland and then back out again, kind of prevents storm surge from just going straight through the site. And I mean, this is a pretty tall wall. They're
26 feet.
Oh, much taller than that. So I do have an image from Carlos Nunez, which shows. I really want to ask Carlos, what are you doing? Are you on the inside of this fence right now? But I think this is the temporary wall that's just on top of the Jersey barriers, and then this is the one that they're constructing. So, I mean, it could be a 2-layer wall, but I highly doubt that. I think this is just a temporary one up here. So, yeah, I would say this is, I don't know, 10 to 15 feet tall. And there's down here, it looks like another layer on top of it. So I think it may continue to get taller. They just haven't got there yet. So building it layer by layer, kind of like what they did around the corner over here. So
You think they might get over 26 feet tall right there?
Well, that's what I think Chief said, that they were building a 26-foot wall. Possible. But I mean, yeah, I mean, your worst storm surges are usually like around the 15 feet area. I know they get worse than that, but I think if you're protecting against 15-foot storms, that's a good start. I mean, anything above that, it's like, all right,
Wait a
well, this is a
second.
super disaster.
Somebody look up the world record pole vault and let me know what that record was.
I mean, yeah, I mean, this is good. That's gonna, give that extra security both for humans and, possible storm surge. Because I know for years people have been kind of talking about like, what are they gonna do in the event of a hurricane? Well, the whole site isn't protected yet, but this could be the start of it, of a actual wall going around the entire location. So
Great. And we got about 20 minutes left. So, yeah, definitely want to talk about the upcoming launch soon, too.
yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about it at the beginning of the show, but we can readdress things as well too. So, yeah, they still have this new electrical line that's coming in for the suborbital control room, which is interesting. I do wonder if once they finish this fence, that something else might happen with this. But I don't know. It's interesting that they're running new power down there. This is kind of cool that I never noticed before until today, that they got a little lunchroom on top of here. So they got a little canopy on top of this building, stairs going up on top with picnic tables up there. So that is the launch site lunchroom, or the lunch area, I guess.
I never noticed that before. That's too cute.
Yeah, I only noticed it because of the tent that's up there. So I was like, what's going on here? But yeah, not really much else going on with the suborbital side. They are really just in standby mode, kind of keeping as much stuff away from this location as they can, so that when they're ready to launch, they don't have a ton of things to move. And like on that note, when we go over to the orbital tank farm area, sorry, let me switch over to that.
I'm just glad we can still see Hoppy there. Hoppy survives.
The orbital tank farm area, they did have like piles of pipework that were over here, which they've, I guess, started placing down the pipe racks for where all the new tanks are going to be located. So I guess they'll have the LOX and nitrogen going across this, whereas your methane is right here. I was thinking they were going to put it on top of that, but I guess this makes more sense. So they're slowly putting all of those pipe racks up there. I think they've just got 2 of them in place, and all the rest of them they've assembled. But yeah, that'll be for all of these tanks that end up over here. So they're just like doing a little bit of prep work before that happens. And I thought it was funny that they brought these pipes down here, because as far as I know, they've also started taking them away from here. So it was weird that they even brought them here in the first place, knowing that they're going to have to clear them out in the event of a launch. So that is a sign that they're getting closer, is the fact that they've started moving some of this stuff to another location. But yeah, the site, in my opinion, is like minimal as far as what's actually here right now. So they're ready to quickly do whatever they need to do to clear it for this upcoming launch. But on that same note, go ahead.
Sorry, right there. How many tanks are they adding there? That's like 12?
9 tanks.
9 more? Wow. That's yeah. I know we talked about this years ago, but the the folly with the building the methane storage, and then man, they're just going all conventional tanks here. It's that's a lot of tanks though.
Yeah, it's going to look very interesting once they finish it. I mean, at least it's not. I'm going to switch images here. It's still close to the actual launch mount, but if you build a wall, at least you're going to be able to ramp things over the top of it, instead of ramp things into it.
It's not like anything would ever hit the tank farm.
Yeah. Not a whole lot to worry about there, I guess. But yeah, it's going to be interesting after this launch. I think that'll be an interesting thing to keep our eyes out for, because like right now they're installing engines on booster 10. Theoretically, they can just do one spin prime and one static fire and be ready for a launch. Best case scenario with that one. But I guess the question after we see Booster 9 and Ship 25 is how long will it be in between the next launch, which, I would imagine they would want to get another one off before the year is over so that they start with a fresh slate next year and they're able to launch 5 times. Or I guess, let's say they're able to launch 6 times within the next 13 months instead of 5 if they get another one off before the year's over. So with that said, it'll be interesting to see if how much work they do to install or renovate the tank farm after this launch. That's going to be interesting to keep our eyes out for.
Definitely depends on how the launch goes. They did not fully power up the booster during the last static fire, and they did have the water deluge. So during the launch, there may be a bit more force, and I think that'll go fine. Everything seems like it should go well, and SpaceX, I'm going to bet, has done the calculations that they think it's going to go well, but there's no test like doing the actual thing. So if it does not go well, then there may be another 8-month delay while they re-engineer the solution and reinvestigate everything.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really excited for this upcoming launch. I think that things will go really well. We haven't seen them do a full thrust test of this system. As far as the booster goes, like they were at, like, as you were saying, like 50% throttle. But in my opinion, this system was set up for static fires initially. Now with the extra water tank and the extra high pressure gas tanks, it's probably, or from what we saw during the last test of this system, it was higher power than what it was before. So
Yeah. So we might have the pad ready to go, but also we did lose 2 engines during the static fire, and that may have been a software problem or just a constraint problem more so than so during a launch scenario they might have lit. That'll definitely be something to watch for. And this one is just going to Hawaii and then is supposed to splash down, not even try to power land. But IFT-3 is going to the Indian Ocean, and it is supposed to power up after reentry and attempt to gently land. So that's exciting. And I got that off of the FCC filing. So, but
the FCC filing, shows that they're not going to land in. So it mentions several things. So they changed the landing area for the ship to the Indian Ocean instead of off of Hawaii. And then I can't remember the altitude that they were going for, but it basically suggests that they plan to do several orbits.
Oh, really? I missed that part. That's awesome.
Yeah, so we should see, as long as this one is successful, we should see an upgrade in the mission profile for IFT-3, which is cool. Once you know that it's going to reach orbit, at that point, you're done with these technically suborbital flights. So, every launch after that, I expect them to start trying to reach new goals. So, that's cool to see that filing for the FCC about what to expect for IFT-3. I don't even know if we'll still consider IFT at that point. But yeah, it's going to be really cool to see what they're going to do for the third launch and after that, and when we'll start seeing them attempt to catch boosters and whatnot. That'll be the icing on the cake there, is catching boosters. So let's see. I'm not sure if there was anything else that I needed to mention. I mean, we did talk at the beginning of the show about Ship 25 being prepared to be unstacked again. So we did mention that they installed the FTS, stacked it, and now the hot stage transport stand, the load spreader for the hot stage ring, and the ship's pressurization trailer are back at the launch site. So we are expecting them to be destacked and for the hot stage ring to be removed again sometime, probably before the weekend's over.
This is
Obviously, that's,
actually the exact same picture we would get tomorrow.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Weather dependent because it's raining pretty heavily down there right now and lots of wind. The wind actually, we mentioned earlier, ended up blowing off one of the tiles on ship 25. So that'll be one thing they'll fix while it's on the ground. But it seems to me like most of the work that they're going to be doing is related to the booster. So yeah, it's a yo-yo of stacking starships on the launch mount lately. But let's
So
see.
definitely want to ask all the YouTube audience, hey guys, if y'all have any questions, just throw a at question out there, and Astro Joe, if anybody has any questions they've asked, we'd love to answer them.
Definitely. Crane Man is asking, did they install lights on top of the orbital berm or cameras, perhaps?
So during the picture that they showed of the full stack, there was 2 lights. Let me see. So Mauricio posted a good picture to Twitter, I think yesterday. Let me see if I can find that. Oh wait, sorry, that was actually Lab because he posted it from his phone. I remember. But I'll go ahead and show that. Give me a second here. So Lab posted a picture the other night. This one. Oh, I guess this one doesn't really show it. Well, I can't remember who showed the one that during the stack. There was a picture during the stack. Oh, here's a good one right here. You can see the spotlight, which is shining from down in this corner. So I don't know if that's even on the pad, truthfully. It may be just off the pad, but it's a spotlight up in this area. And in this picture, you can see that there's no lights on top of the berm. So
That's just the new Samsung Galaxy's flashlight.
that would be pretty crazy. And we're not sponsored by them, although if they would like to sponsor us, feel free. But the orbital pad down here, like that, I think that light could have been way down in this area, but that looked like it was off the pad to me. As far as the top of the berm, they did install some stuff back there, but I don't think they're lights. They could be, but we haven't seen them on at this point. So theoretically, these may be cameras or so cancers, cameras or speakers. I doubt their speakers are that low, but yeah, no idea what those are on the back side of that wall.
All right. Tony Ugg asks, anything on the frantic digging we've seen on Lab Padre's lab cam for the last couple of days?
No idea, but I thought that was interesting. Not really sure where they're digging, honestly. From that Nerdle camera view, it's tough to say where it's at. Like, I have no idea, and I don't see any like signs of them having like cut the concrete down here. But wherever they're stacking all that dirt up, it's on the pad somewhere. So yeah, I'm not really sure where that digging is happening at. Unfortunately, yeah, that started. I think it started a few days after or the day after these photos were taken. But maybe we'll
Sure.
have some updates next week.
All right. J. Seabreeze 10 question, if IFT2 goes well, does or will the launch license cover IFT3 and beyond?
Ooh.
I don't know. What do you think, Grandpa Joe?
I think it technically does, but here's the thing. If the ship breaks up during reentry and they had claimed that they were going to make it to splashdown, then I think the FAA would investigate that part in Hawaii, but that may not preclude them from launching again. So it's kind of a maybe. It's up to the FAA to say and then to investigate. And here's the other thing: if it does break up during reentry, who knows? Maybe somebody might come investigate, like what batteries and fluids were leaked into the ocean, etc. So it could be a clear pass if everything goes well for takeoff, or they may hold it up. So do not know for sure. We'll wait for the feds to say.
For sure. Mark Smith asks, what do you think the launch facility and the build site looks like in 1 year's time? Speculation time.
Um, well, the build site is rather predictable. I think there may be a few more um, like permanent structures over there uh, than what's already there. Hold on, let me get us a picture of that. Yeah, I mean, that Star Factory really takes up most of the surface area, so there's not a whole lot more they can do. The only other building that I think needs a permanent structure is this down here. This is where they've been manufacturing all their pipes lately. So they may, like, I don't know if there's room back here to add another addition on here. And then I think this is a tile bakery. It's not their main one, but I think they make specialized tiles back here or something like that. Probably another permanent structure for that. And then beyond that, I mean, I've been thinking that they need another mega bay, specifically for the ships. But they don't really have room for it. So unless they get rid of this building down here, I guess we may or may not be expecting another mega bay. I mean, honestly, for all we know, they could put one back here, truthfully. I don't think there's anything necessarily stopping them from throwing one back there. So it is further away, having to move their tank sections, but I mean, we're not going to complain because we'll actually be able to see the stuff moving over there a little bit better than the quick path that it has to enter these buildings. So, yeah, launch site probably look the same unless they get permission to expand it, which fingers crossed that happens sometime in the next 2 years. That'd be really awesome.
You know what I want to see in the next 2 years is the rocket garden.
Yeah,
because that just imagine 100 ships just chilling out there.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty crazy once they reach that level of production.
Yeah, whatever they have planned with the Army Corps of Engineers and replacing wetlands and expanding their property, that could be something we see in the future as well. Break out the crystal ball, you know?
Yep.
So then Moody Blues asks, will the hot stage ring eventually be integrated with the booster or Starship, or will it always be a separate piece?
So, I mean, as long as that avionics hardware is down below the hot stage ring, it's going to be a separate piece.
Agreed.
And that's really the only place for it to go. So
yeah, for sure. Dr. Sebastian, I'm not even going to read the rest of that because I'll butcher it. Was the spotlight on the explosives bunker during the night stack the other night, I guess?
I don't know. I was working during that night, so I'm not sure. And I don't know why it would have been there. The FTS stuff was taken out during the daytime, so yeah, I'm not sure.
All right, Randall Williams. Here's a good question. Could they install a light-duty crane on top of the tower to deal with the hot stage ring instead of needing the mobile crane?
We've talked about that a number of times, and they could. I think even more interestingly, if they wanted to have fun, maybe they could do it with the chopsticks.
I don't know how they would do that though, because the chopsticks don't get low enough to the ground.
Oh yeah, that's right. They just have to let it go, just drop it. No. Mostly when they're picking up the hot stage ring, it's only to work under the booster. So if they could pick it up with the chopsticks and just hold it, then they could put it back down on top. Then they'd be good.
Very true.
I am more interested, I think, in seeing the next generation of Starship the booster with the hot stage ring integrated, and how they're going to prevent all these problems in the future, so it's not a continuous. I mean, it's just something as simple as if they had an access panel and room to get in there, but it's a lot like working on your car's engine without opening the hood.
We're having to disassemble the hood every time.
Yeah, talk about.
Well,
cool. Any more questions?
About all the question queue wrapped up, but our very own Stephanie wanted to just mention great show. Zach, great to see you back.
Thank you. Yeah, I will be here next week and then back to work after that. hopefully we have a launch to talk about on the next show. Fingers crossed for Friday, but I don't know. At the same time, don't get your hopes up because we're still waiting on a launch license. So we'll hopefully have good news on the next show, but until then, we'll all be waiting around together.
Yeah, my heart says, oh, I hope it goes Friday, but my head says, oh, there's so many things. It'll probably be delayed until at least, Monday, Tuesday after that. But if it gets delayed much longer, Thanksgiving comes and man, you're going to have some problems.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, Grandpa Joe, for hopping on the stream with me today. Really appreciate that. Thanks, Astro Joe, for helping out with questions and donations, and Jeff for all the production work. We don't know when we'll have Indy back. She is dealing with computer issues thanks to her kittens, which kind of knocked her desktop off of the desk and broke it. So whenever she gets that stuff repaired, she'll be back with us. But definitely appreciate Jeff filling in that spot and helping us out. And also, of course, to Irma for taking all of these aerial shots and helping out with that. So thank you, and hopefully you all enjoyed the show. If you guys haven't already, make sure you like the stream. We really appreciate that. I used to like ask multiple times during the show, but I don't know. When I watch live streams, I find that kind of annoying, so I try to do that as little as possible. But if you guys could do that before you leave, we'd really appreciate it. And if those of you who want to go through these pictures yourself, you can do so on both. There should be a link if you're a YouTube member, and also on Patreon. You should be able to find the link to all of these images and go through them yourself. But with that, I will pass it off to either Grandpa Joe or Astro Joe.
I'll take it as signing off because, Grandpa Joe came up with that original sign off, so I'm going to let him take it. And so with that, thanks, awesome chat. Thanks, our moderators, Jeff, Rocket Prophet, and Astro Jen. Thanks, Jen, for handling all the scheduling and last-minute changes, and Jeff for all of your turning the knobs and pushing the buttons. And y'all have a great week. We'll catch you next time.
And just a shout out to the whole space family out there. Thanks for keeping me in mind and keeping being such a great community to be a part of and to talk with as often as I can. I sure am passionate about rockets and space and in industry, and it's just so wonderful to be able to get to see this. We are very privileged to have all this access and so many wonderful people like Mauricio and Irma taking these pictures for us. So I'm just so ever appreciative of everybody. And with that, does anybody else need to sign off? I saw Mauricio earlier. Is he around or?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, with that, then we're clear. Main engine cut off. Stage separation confirmed. Love you. Bye.